Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, July 29th, 2019. I am Dave Biddle. Very happy to be joined by the Dean of Ohio State football recruiting, Bill Kurelic. So, Bill, what made you get up yesterday morning and ruin everyone's Sunday with the Bijan Robinson news? No, I kid. We don't want to kill the messenger. But, man, that was surprising. I was shocked. I know everybody was shocked. The coaches at Ohio State must have been shocked. You must have been shocked. Just, as much as you can tell the listeners about what happened with Bijan Robinson, why things changed, what you're hearing, just what can you pass along?
Well, Bijan has been planning to announce his decision on August 2nd. And if you looked at the crystal ball on Saturday night, it was 100% Ohio State, and for a reason. Bijan Robinson was planning to be a Buckeye. There's not a whole lot of question about that. Very rarely do you see the crystal ball 100% on a player of his magnitude so far out, and it's been 100% for a little while now. It just doesn't happen for no reason. But this is recruiting, and things change in recruiting. And, other schools have continued to recruit Bijan Robinson, just like Ohio State has continued to recruit him, even though the overwhelming sentiment and the feeling and everything was that he's going to Ohio State. And then, lo and behold, over the weekend, things changed. He decided that, for a couple of reasons, as I wrote in my report, that things were leading him elsewhere. And those choices, I guess you'd say, would basically be Texas and USC. I was told that he's, unless something changes again, that he's not going to Arizona, which was another possibility. And that really, that the places he has in mind now are Texas and USC. And as I wrote, I don't know which one of those two schools he's going to at this point. I talked to different sources as the day went on yesterday, and some feel he's going to Texas. Some feel he's going to USC. And for that reason, I honestly don't know where he's headed. And for that reason, I flipped my pick to Foggy.
So, distance from home, while Texas is not that close to Tucson, Arizona, it's closer than Columbus, Ohio. USC, you could drive to L.A. from Tucson. Still wouldn't be an easy drive, but a lot easier than driving from Columbus, Ohio. Proximity to home, are you hearing that as a factor here?
Yeah, and long ago I had written that he has family that would like to see him stay closer to home. He has, people, and that's kind of understandable. Family likes to be able to see their son or relative play in person if possible. And obviously, as you mentioned, Los Angeles, for instance, that is a lot easier for family to be able to see him play in person. Texas is still a bit of a jaunt from where he lives, but it is closer, and maybe it is a little bit easier to see him play in person if he goes there. So yeah, that absolutely has had an impact on his thinking. And the other thing is that this is a little thing that I had mentioned over the weekend that not a lot of people maybe are talking about, is that Bijan, when he was in Los Angeles, really talked about how he loved Los Angeles and wanted to be there. Now, again, I'm not saying he's going to USC because I don't know right now if it's going to be USC, Texas. But I know quite a while back when he was in Los Angeles at one point, he indicated how much he liked Los Angeles, and that was a desired place for him. So I think those things all play a factor in his thinking.
So So let's move on. Before we move on, let me ask you this question. Is there a chance Ohio State could still land Bijan Robinson, a legitimate chance, or do you think that ship has sailed?
Well, I put it this way in my article. In recruiting, I've kind of learned over the years that I don't like to say never in recruiting because you just don't know. These guys are 17, 18-year-old young men, and think back to when we were 17 or 18-year-olds. I don't think we always made the expected decisions and always did things that necessarily our family liked, for instance, or whatever. So I don't like to say never, but I know that as of right now, he's not going to Ohio State. And Ohio State, as you would, of course, expect, they are doing everything they can to get at least one, if not two, great running backs in this class. So, with what happened over the weekend, they're going to be working and are working on getting the best two running backs they possibly can in this class. If they could somehow change Bijan's mind back, sure, they would love that. I just don't expect it to happen. And as of right now, he's not going to Ohio State.
So give me some of the names of the running backs that you think they could legitimately land in this class. I know there's several that they could be in on, but who are some guys you think are legit candidates to fill out this class at running back?
Well, they've offered scholarships to Michael Drennan from Dublin Kaufman. E.J. Smith from Texas is another name certainly to keep in mind.
Emmett Smith's son, for those that don't know, right? Emmett Smith's son.
Exactly. Yep. And those two are outstanding football players. Are they every down running backs in the Big Ten? I guess only time would tell if one or both would end up at Ohio State. Obviously, they would absolutely love to have Jalen Knighton from Florida. The Robinson-Knighton duo, that was kind of the expected great outcome going into this past weekend. But lo and behold, Jalen Knighton ends up showing up at Florida State's Saturday Night Live over the weekend. And now, all indications are he's going to Florida State. And by the way, I think that right now he has made I would say right now in his mind he is going to Florida State. But the thing I keep wondering about on that, and part of the reason I haven't flipped my crystal ball to the Florida State on him, is that, for some time now, he's basically been going to Ohio State, and then you get a kid on campus for a weekend, and then all of a sudden he changes his mind. Sure, that happens. It happens in recruiting. But I always like to give a day or so after a kid makes a visit somewhere for, I guess you'd say, the luster of the visit to wear off. So I want to see what happens a day after or two Jalen Knight makes that visit, which was on, obviously, Saturday. So let's see what happens. But as of right now, I look for Jalen Knighton to announce tomorrow on Tuesday that he is headed to Florida State. Now, let's see what happens. He's had 24 hours or so to sleep on things and see what happens. And but that's kind of the expected outcome on that one. So, again, Jalen Knighton would be a great addition. Is he an every down back in the Big Ten, for instance? Depends who you talk to. He thinks he is absolutely not an all-purpose back and every down back. But in any event, whether he's an every down back or not, he's a guy Ohio State would certainly love to have. E.J. Smith is a possibility. Michael Drennan is a possibility. You look at the other Ohioans, such as Torrance Davis from Glenville, Mayan Williams from Winton Woods. Davis was committed to Kentucky. Mayan Williams was committed to Iowa State. Would Ohio State decide to try to flip those two prospects? And then I think they're going to go ahead and scour the country. We've seen over the years that when Ohio State loses one prospect, they come up with another outstanding prospect, and I expect them to do that somehow, some way. They're going to come up with a very good running back in this class, and I think they're going to go with a very exhaustive search all over the country to find an outstanding running back, and preferably two running backs for this 2020 recruiting class.
What about Diamante Trayanum? Is that the young man from Akron, Hoban, who's headed to, at least committed to Arizona State? Has that ship sailed, or could they circle back and get back with Diamante Trayanum?
I think they'll leave no stone unturned. If they think they have any chance at all to flip Trayanum, then they will. I don't expect that to happen. I think Diamante, from everything he's told me, is very happy with his decision, and he doesn't plan to change his mind. But again, this is recruiting; you never know. Diamante, really loved and seems to still love his decision. And I don't think he's going to change his mind. But again, he's an outstanding football player, and the opportunity, to be the guy at Ohio State would be there now more than ever. So you never know. I just don't expect it to happen.
Great insights, as always, from the Dean of Ohio State football recruiting, Bill Kurelic. Thank you very much, Bill, and thank you very much to all the listeners out there for tuning in. I appreciate it. Hope everyone has a great day. Let's hear that Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.